In this session, I will show how you can manipulate and present particles using texture. It's something very useful, and I will explain how it works now. We start with an empty workbench. Add a plane, Shift-A, Mesh, Plane. That will be the emitter. Then we need some particle, so Shift-A, icosphere, and then move it by pressing GX. Now select the plane and go to Particle Properties. Here press the plus sign and change lifetime to 500. Go down to Velocity and put normal to 0. Then go down to Render As and change the object. And then change Instance Object to Icosphere. Change the field weight so we don't have any gravity. And when I now run the animation, you can see that it creates all those icosphere on the emitter plane. Now it's time to add a texture, so continue down into Particle Properties until you see textures. We have a long list of textures that we can use, but we start with the one at the top. Now press New and then write Particle Texture. Then it will be easy to find later on. Go to Texture Properties and you instantly see the name Particle Texture. You can also see that we have a new setting called Particle Settings in the list. This is exclusive for particles, so in other cases you will just see Brush and Brush Mask. Particle Settings is what we will use this time, however. In Type, select Blend. This type is easiest to explain because it's gradient from black to white. Then go down, change Linear to Spherical, and then we can create this circle shape. With that it will be visible what we are doing and how it works. Go back to Particle Properties, and here you can see the particle texture, and it also have like a little circle here. And now if I go to frame 1, you can see that everything is circle shaped here because of the texture. When the animation is running, it creates more and more and more particles in a circular shape until everything here is filled. That is one thing you can do with texture, and I will explain why it is like this. So we go back to Texture Properties, then expand the influence, and there you can see a lot of properties that can be changed. Those decide how much influence you would like to have on the particles. So the default value is checked is general time. Black in the texture is 0 and have no influence, and that means we don't have any influence from the beginning, and thus we only create particles outside of the texture, around the edges. Then, when the animation runs, it starts reading the texture from 0 to 1, so it starts with those particles just above 0, and then it fills up as it reads the brighter parts of the texture. And in the end, it uses the completely white texture parts, and we get all the particles here. That is how it's growing. You can use the same principle for all properties like gravity, for instance. So uncheck general time, check gravity, and that means that we have full gravity on the white parts and none in the black. It will be so instantly since we don't have any general time checked here. We only have gravity now. If I get back and run the animation, nothing happens. That is because we put force gravity to 0 in our particle properties. So go to Particle Properties and in field weight set gravity to 1. Then restart the animation, and then you can see that the center has full gravity since the texture there is white. Then it gets darker against the edges, so there you will have a slower or no gravity at all. And that is how you can control that with the texture. You can use whatever texture you want. I only use spherical because it's easy to show. I can now change my texture. So go back to Texture Properties, expand Colors, and check Color Ramp. Then you can change the amount of white and black. So here you can change and see that it gets less white. If you continue moving the mark a little more, you continue to shrink the white circle. Okay? So now run the animation, but no changes occurred. And the reason, I can do this again, and the reason is that we need to refresh the texture in the particle settings by removing it and adding it again, which I also shown in previous session. If I now run the animation, you can see that it works. The result will be that we have gravity just in the center. We did everything else black in the texture, so those part lacks gravity. So it's really easy to work with textures. This is also good to use when you would like to filter away some particles in situations where other solution does not work. So then use textures can be like our escape route. Now I showed gravity, time to test something else. So return to Texture Properties and really check out Influence. The amount of properties are great. You have a lot of things to select from. You can do changes of size, of density, and so on. But now I will show how lifetime works. So check lifetime, and then only those particles in the bright spot get the lifetime. And to reverse it, so we have lifetime on all except in the center, then just reverse the color ramp. And uncheck gravity if you have not done that. And then you get all the white on the outside, and it would look like this. Full lifetime on everything except in the middle. There's no particles, no lifetime. Time to refresh, go to Particle Properties, remove the texture, add it again. And then run the animation. And now we have full gravity all over, but no particles are generated from the center, since it's black and we have checked lifetime. As you can see, as long as it's black, nothing will be created there. As you can see, you can do very advanced things, and it's up to you to try it out properly. So instead of spherical texture, try like a cloud or something else. It can change things so it looks really nice in many situations. Let's do just one more example. Now we use size. So go back to Texture Properties again. Change the color ramp so it's a little bit softer. And now you can see a lot of gradient here. Take away lifetime and add size instead. And now go back to the Particle Properties. And here you have to remove and add the texture again. Then run the animation. And it did not go so well because we need to get rid of the gravity on the Particle Properties first, or else it will be hard to see. So field weight 0 and then run, and now you can see almost no size in the middle at all, but the particles are growing when they get closer to the edges. So that was like another example of how you can use those textures. And you're not limited to one texture. As you can see here, you can use a lot of different textures in this list. So, for instance, one texture could control size, another the gravity, one could handle like lifetime and so on. And that means, in fact, that you can create rules for how everything should be created. So, you're not limited to the built-in textures. You can also put in like images, which means in this case that you can create images or image sequences to make things happen here with your particles. So it's a very powerful tool if you use it in the right way. And so now you know a little bit about how you should work with the textures also for particle settings. And I think that if you use this correctly, you will use it a lot. And that will be all for this session, and I'll see you in the next one. So I just say bye for now and see you there.